Sadaqah is not simply about taking out a coin and dropping it into a donation box. It is not about handing over leftovers to someone in need or giving only when it's convenient. It is not about a mechanical act of charity. Sadaqah is a spiritual phenomenon. It is the act of giving that transcends the physical exchange of wealth. It is the language of the soul spoken in the currency of sincerity. It transforms the one who gives, the one who receives, and the unseen space between them. When a person gives sincerely, not for recognition, not for praise, and not to feel superior, something shifts within them. It is a form of purification, a release of attachment to material things, and a declaration that one's heart is not enslaved to this world. That's why when the Prophet ﷺ said that wealth doesn't decrease from giving in charity, he wasn't speaking only about numbers. He was speaking about increase that comes in dimensions we don't see: peace, contentment, healing, protection, and barakah. You begin to understand that sadaqah is not transactional. You don't give 10 expecting 20 back in your account. You give because you trust that what you lose in the hand you gain in the soul, and that soul is what Allah is watching. In a world obsessed with calculation, sadaqah is in touching a trace, I call it on a higher level, on trust, on intention, on unseen reward. And those who live with this mindset are never truly poor. They might be tested with difficulty, but they're never broken. Their hearts are anchored, because when you've tasted the sweetness of giving purely for the sake of Allah, the bitterness of loss doesn't shake you the same way. The power of sadaqah is that it redefines wealth. It tells you that your richness is not what you keep, it's what you release. That the tightness in your chest begins to loosen the moment your hands open in generosity. That the burdens you carry are lightened not only by praying for help, but by being the answer to someone else's prayer. And there's something deeply healing about that. To know that your sadness, your heartbreak, your loss, can all find medicine in helping someone else breathe easier. That every coin, every smile, every meal, every kind gesture done with the intention of sadaqah becomes a seed. And seeds don't grow overnight, but they grow quietly, powerfully, in ways you never expected. Have you ever noticed how life opens up after an act of sincere giving? Maybe a difficulty you thought would never end suddenly begins to resolve. Maybe a dua you made months ago is suddenly answered. Maybe a relationship that was strained finds peace. Maybe a door you had been knocking on finally opens. People call it coincidence. Believers know better. Because when you give sadaqah, you're not just putting something in the hands of the poor. You're placing something in the hands of the most generous. And He never forgets. Not a coin, not a tear, not a meal, not a moment. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said that sadaqah extinguishes sins like water extinguishes fire. Because giving is not just about wealth, it's about the state of your heart. You might have no money to give, but if you give your time, your skill, your smile, your sincere advice, if you remove harm from the path of someone else, if you carry a burden that's weighing down your brother or sister, that too is sadaqah. And you don't know which small act will be the one that earns you forgiveness. You don't know which moment of selfless giving will be the moment that turns your life around. The transformation of sadaqah is real. People who give sincerely become softer, not weaker, but softer in a beautiful way. They begin to feel for others more. They begin to listen more. Their hearts are no longer numb, and that softness is a sign of a living heart, a healthy heart, a heart that feels the pain of others even when it's drowning in its own. That's the secret. Many people give while they themselves are broken, and yet they find healing in giving. They don't wait to be perfect. They don't wait to be rich. They give from their wounds, and somehow Allah heals them through the act itself. That's transformation. Sadaqah also breaks the ego. It forces the giver to acknowledge that what they have is not from themselves, that their success, their income, their wealth, was all provision from Allah. And when you give from what you've been given, it humbles you. It reminds you that you are just a channel. You are not the source. You are not the provider. you are just a means, and recognizing that removes arrogance. It cultivates gratitude. It reminds you to stay grounded no matter how high you rise in dunya. It brings you back to what really matters, who you are in private, who you are when no one is watching, who you are in the sight of Allah. And perhaps the most powerful part is this: every single time you give, you're rewriting your destiny. You're intercepting a hardship that was written to fall on you. You're protecting your family from harm. You're saving yourself from future regret. You're investing in a bank account that doesn't crash. Every sadaqah is a shield against calamity, against misfortune, against the fire. And this shield grows stronger every time you give without needing a thank you, without posting about it, without expecting anything in return. So the next time your heart is heavy, give. The next time you're drowning in problems, give. The next time you feel lost, confused, broken, give. Not because giving solves everything instantly, but because it connects you to the one who can. That's the real power of sadaqah, not in what leaves your hand, but in what it unlocks in your life, in your heart, and in your akhirah. Attraction is one of the most misunderstood feelings in human relationships. People often expect it to be loud, exaggerated, and obvious, like dramatic declarations, grand romantic gestures, or endless compliments. But in reality, the truest form of attraction doesn't always come with words or showy behavior. It's subtle, silent, and powerful. It exists in the smallest actions, the tiniest details that most overlook. When someone is truly drawn to you, they reveal it not through what they say, but through how they behave when you're around. Their eyes, their energy, their attention, it all speaks, even when they don't. The first unspoken sign of real attraction is eye contact. Not just a casual glance or polite acknowledgement, but that lingering look when they think you're not watching. When someone's eyes follow you across the room, or they look directly into yours during a conversation and hold that gaze a little longer than necessary, it's because something in you draws them in. The eyes reflect the heart. They reveal thoughts that words try to hide. A person who's attracted to you might not always approach you with words, but their eyes will always search for you in silence. And when they find you, there's a calm in their expression, like your presence brings them some kind of unspoken peace. Another quiet sign is how they pay attention to what you say. We live in a world where people listen to reply, not to understand. But someone who's truly drawn to you will remember the details, the little things. You might mention your favorite snack once and weeks later they surprise you with it. You might casually talk about a goal or a struggle, and they'll ask about it again later because they genuinely care. It's not about impressing you. It's not performance. It's presence. When someone finds themselves mentally and emotionally tuned into you, when they genuinely want to understand your thoughts and your world, that's a sign that their attraction goes deeper than the surface. They're not just interested in what you look like, they're interested in what moves you, what hurts you, what inspires you. Then there's the subtle shift in their energy when you're near. You'll see it in their body language, the way they straighten up when you walk in, how they angle their body toward you in group settings, or how they become more conscious of their words and actions when you're close. It's not about pretending to be someone they're not, but rather about wanting to be their best version around you. Their behavior isn't forced, it's natural, but intentional. Because when someone is drawn to you, they instinctively want to make a good impression, not for validation, but because they value how you see them. That slight nervousness, the way their mood lifts when you speak, the way they lean in when you talk, it all points to one thing: their heart gravitates toward you, even when their mouth stays silent. There's also the protective instinct that quietly kicks in when someone feels something for you. This isn't always dramatic or heroic. Sometimes it's as small as making sure you're walking on the safer side of the street. Sometimes it's how they step in when someone speaks to you disrespectfully, or how they offer you help without making you feel weak. A person who is attracted to you will notice when you're uncomfortable. They'll notice when you're tired, stressed, or anxious, and they'll try in their own way to ease that for you. They won't always say, "I care about you," but they'll show it in how they try to be a source of comfort. And that instinct to protect you, even from small things, is a clear sign their heart is involved, even if they haven't admitted it to themselves. Attraction also shows in how someone respects your space and your boundaries. If someone truly sees value in you, they won't rush or pressure, they'll move at your pace. They won't overstep or make you feel overwhelmed. They'll respect your time, your values, and your decisions. That respect comes from admiration, and admiration is a deep-rooted form of attraction. You can tell when someone is fascinated by you, not just by your looks but by your mind, your principles, your way of seeing the world. They admire the way you carry yourself, the way you handle challenges, the way you speak with purpose, and this admiration becomes the foundation of their behavior toward you, respectful, sincere and patient. Sometimes attraction is revealed not when someone is around you, but when they're not. If they talk about you in your absence with respect, if they defend you when others mock or doubt you, if they ask about you when you're not there, those are all signs of a heart that's connected to you in some way. The way someone speaks of you behind closed doors is a deeper reflection of how they feel about you than anything they could say to your face. Because when you matter to someone, they honor you even when you're not watching. They care about your name, your dignity, your reputation, and they protect it, silently. One of the clearest signs, and yet the most unspoken, is how someone prays for you. This is not something they may ever tell you, but when someone thinks about your well-being in their quiet moments with Allah, when they include your name in their du'as, asking for your happiness, your success, your protection, that is a profound form of attraction. It means that their feelings have reached the level of sincerity. Because anyone can think about you during happy moments, but someone who thinks about your safety, your peace, your soul, that person is connected to you on a spiritual level. So don't be fooled into thinking attraction is all about romantic words or dramatic actions. Sometimes it's hidden in consistent kindness, in unspoken loyalty, in silent prayers, in small acts that don't demand attention but carry deep meaning. People may not always tell you how they feel, but the truth finds its way through their actions. And when someone is truly attracted to you, you will feel it, not in your ears, but in your heart. Because some of the most powerful connections are the ones that begin quietly, with respect, attention and sincerity, and those are the ones worth holding on to. There's something remarkable that happens when a person gives sadaqah sincerely. Their entire being begins to glow with a kind of light that cannot be manufactured. It's not the kind of glow you see in the mirror or under bright lights. It's an internal brilliance, a spiritual magnetism. It's the way Allah elevates a generous heart. This light, this barakah, radiates out from the soul and starts to affect everything it touches, your health, your peace, your relationships, and even the way people perceive you. Sadaqah doesn't just attract angels or blessings, it also draws people. It's a magnetic force that pulls hearts toward the giver, often in ways the giver never even notices. When you give sincerely, you're no longer operating on the surface level of existence. You've stepped into a different frequency, a higher realm of purpose and presence. You begin to walk through life, not just as a consumer of blessings, but as a distributor of them. You're no longer asking, what can I gain, but what can I give? And that mindset changes everything. It's why generous people often find themselves surrounded by others. People feel safe in their presence, seen in their company, and cared for in their silence. Generosity doesn't just open your hands, it opens your heart, and that openness becomes a source of attraction in itself. People often mistake physical beauty or charisma as the primary force of attraction, and yes, those can draw attention, but attention is not the same as connection. Physical attraction can be momentary, even superficial, but the kind of energy that comes from a heart that gives for the sake of Allah, that's something deeper. That's what leaves an imprint. That's what pulls people toward you, not because of your status, your appearance, or your words, but because of the peace they feel around you, because of the softness in your voice, because of the calm you bring to a room. That's the glow of a generous soul, and it's not just about giving money. Sometimes the most generous people are not the ones with the most wealth, but the ones who give from whatever little they have. They give their time, they give their smile, they give their presence when someone is hurting, they give encouragement when others feel defeated, they give advice that uplifts, not destroys, and people remember that. Long after words fade, people remember how you made them feel.
They remember the warmth in your company, the sincerity in your eyes, the quiet way you stepped in and helped, without asking for anything in return. That's Sadaqah too, and that's what builds bonds. That's what draws hearts. This is why some people become loved without ever trying. They don't post about their generosity, they don't announce their good deeds, they don't seek to be admired, but Allah places acceptance for them in the hearts of people. You'll notice others speak of them with respect, strangers feel drawn to their presence, children feel safe with them, the elderly are comforted by them. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you give with sincerity, when you give and expect nothing in return, not applause, not validation, not recognition. Allah becomes your witness, and when He is your witness, He is also your promoter. He plants your love in the hearts of others, without you needing to say a word. Think about the way people gravitate toward those who serve others, not because they're wealthy, but because they care. They stand by others in times of need. They uplift those who are broken. They extend kindness where it's least expected, and you'll see how people begin to feel emotionally attached to them. That's not manipulation, that's attraction rooted in sincerity. That's the power of a generous soul. It doesn't chase love, it attracts it. It doesn't beg for attention, it earns it. It doesn't demand loyalty, it inspires it. And what's even more beautiful is that this type of attraction builds relationships based on substance. Because if someone is drawn to you due to your generosity, due to the goodness of your character, that relationship starts on a foundation of sincerity. It's not about what you look like or what you own, it's about who you are at your core. And that kind of attraction leads to bonds that are lasting. It leads to friendships that are loyal, marriages that are peaceful, communities that are united. We must also understand that when you give Sadaqah regularly, your heart becomes softer, and soft hearts are more emotionally available, more understanding, more forgiving, more capable of love. And that makes you more attractive, not in a fake performative way, but in a way that matters. In a world where people are constantly judged for what they show, a soft heart that gives quietly becomes rare, and rare things draw attention. Rare things are valuable, rare things are unforgettable. This is why some of the most beloved people in our lives are those who helped us when they had nothing to gain, those who stood by us during our dark moments, those who gave without announcing it. Those who made us feel human again when we felt broken. They gave us Sadaqah, not just in money, but in heart, in compassion, in presence. And we were attracted to their souls, not just their smiles. That's the kind of beauty that doesn't fade with age. That's the kind of attraction that doesn't dim when the lights go off. That's the kind of relationship that doesn't end when dunya ends. It continues into the akhirah, inshallah. So never underestimate the power of Sadaqah to shape your destiny and your relationships. Never think that giving only benefits the poor. Giving transforms the giver. It makes you beautiful in ways makeup never could. It makes you strong in ways power never will. And it makes you beloved in ways that fame never achieves. That's the magnetism of a generous heart, a magnetism that pulls risk, blessings and love toward you in ways you never imagined. Keep giving, keep shining, keep being that person who gives not to be loved, but who becomes loved because they gave. Sincerity is one of the rarest, yet most powerful forces in human interaction. In a world where so much is filtered, rehearsed, and calculated, sincerity cuts through the noise, like light breaking through a storm. It is the invisible ingredient that transforms ordinary acts into extraordinary ones, especially when it comes to relationships. Just like Sadaqah, which is only accepted when it's given purely for the sake of Allah, without showing off. Real love and attraction are only meaningful when they come without manipulation, without expectation, and without hidden agendas. You don't have to say I love you 100 times if your actions carry truth. You don't have to constantly prove your interest if your presence reflects care, because when someone is genuinely drawn to you, you'll feel it, not as pressure, but as peace. Sadaqah teaches us the importance of intention. You might give something small, a date, a glass of water, a smile, but if it's given for the sake of Allah, it becomes a mountain of reward in the hereafter. Likewise, when someone is truly attracted to you, they don't come with ulterior motives. They're not calculating how much they can gain from you. They're not pretending to be interested while keeping their options open. They're not using compliments as bait. Instead they come with honesty. Their interest feels clean. It feels safe. It feels like a gift, not a trap. We're often taught to look for the loudest signals when it comes to attraction. The person who flirts the most, compliments the most, or shows up the most. But real attraction doesn't always make noise. It's in the calm someone brings to your storm. It's in the quiet way they protect your dignity. It's in the honesty they offer, even when it's uncomfortable. It's in the consistency that doesn't need attention or applause. Just like sincere sadaqah is sometimes hidden even from the left hand while the right hand gives, true attraction sometimes hides itself in the form of patience, in respect, in giving space. A sincere person won't try to control your feelings. They won't pressure you into reciprocating their interest. They won't manipulate you through guilt or emotional games, because their feelings are not based on what they can extract from you, but what they want to build with you. Their attraction isn't about conquering you, it's about cherishing you, and that sincerity makes all the difference. Because attraction based on desire fades quickly, but attraction based on respect lasts. That's the difference between a spark and a flame. One flashes, the other burns steadily. Just like with sadaqah, if the intention is wrong, the act can look beautiful but be hollow inside. You can give millions, but if it's done to impress, it holds no weight with Allah. Similarly, someone can shower you with compliments, buy you gifts, and post about you, but if their heart isn't pure in its connection to you, it won't last. It won't bring peace. It won't bring growth, because sincerity is what makes a relationship feel real, even in silence. It's what makes trust grow even without constant reassurance. It's what allows love to exist without fear. Sincerity also brings humility. A person who is sincerely attracted to you won't pretend to be perfect. They'll admit their flaws. They'll show vulnerability. They won't try to manipulate you into thinking they're always right or always strong. Instead, they'll invite you to know them for who they truly are. And that rawness, that honesty, that's what builds emotional intimacy. When you see someone exactly as they are, and still feel drawn to them, that's not just attraction, that's connection. When Allah accepts sadaqah, He multiplies its reward beyond what the giver could ever expect. In the same way, when someone gives their attention, time and emotional presence sincerely, Allah places barakah in that connection. You feel like time stretches when you're together. A 5-minute conversation feels deeper than hours spent with someone else. You're able to share, to listen, to grow, because there is divine ease placed in that bond. And that ease is only present where sincerity exists. Otherwise, even the most beautiful relationships become heavy. Even the most fun moments start to feel hollow. Sincere attraction shows up in moments when the world isn't watching, when you're sick, sad, or not at your best, and someone still chooses to stand beside you. That's sincerity. When you've disappointed them, and they choose communication over cancellation, that's sincerity. When they make dua for your success, even if they aren't part of your life anymore, that's sincerity. And that's the kind of love that resembles sadaqah, given freely, with no strings attached, only for the sake of something higher. It's important to also understand that sincerity is not weakness, it's not naivety. In fact, it takes immense strength to love with no guarantee of return, to care without needing to be noticed, to invest emotionally without keeping score. The world has taught us to withhold until we're sure. But sincerity says give, not blindly, but courageously, and those who are attracted to you sincerely will not take your openness for granted. They will honor it, they will protect it, just like Allah protects the deeds done in sincerity, even if no one else sees them. There is a serenity that comes when you know someone's interest in you is pure. You don't feel anxious trying to decode mixed signals. You don't feel confused wondering what you mean to them. Their sincerity brings clarity. Their presence brings peace. It's the same kind of peace that comes after giving sadaqah, knowing that your act is safe with Allah, no matter what happens next. That's what sincere love feels like, peaceful, even when it's quiet, consistent, even when it's not dramatic, honest, even when it's hard. So just like we protect our sadaqah from pride, from showing off, from being wasted through arrogance, we must protect our love from selfishness, from games, from ego, because the most beautiful connections are the ones born out of sincerity, not desperation, not agenda, not fear. And when that sincerity is met with the same level of honesty from the other side, something sacred begins to form between two people, something that doesn't need to be flaunted, just protected. At the end of the day, the people who are truly drawn to you because of who you are, and not what you give them, are a mercy from Allah, like accepted Sadaqah. Their presence will increase you, not only in happiness but in faith, in character, and in closeness to your Creator. These are the people worth waiting for. These are the people worth recognizing. These are the people worth keeping, because sincerity doesn't just make love beautiful, it makes it real.